Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new series that we're starting, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Hour and Jiu-Jitsu Times. This is called Verbal Grappling, and it's going to be a bi-weekly series, sort of debate-style show, just a discussion on, controversial topics. We started this to controversial topics in Jiu-Jitsu, and there's a lot of those. We see it go on in all the comments on articles get posted, on videos get posted, and everything like that. And we felt like sometimes we need an entire show to discuss that. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So if you guys could introduce yourselves for me. Start with Mike.
Michael Bios. I'm out of Youngstown, Ohio. I've been training for about close to 15 years under Next Level Martial Arts, under James Terlecki. We've been doing this podcast for about, actually, how long now? Almost
A year and a half.
Year and a half. And it's a nice little side project we're doing. It's nice to talk about Jiu-Jitsu because I'm pretty much obsessed with Jiu-Jitsu. And I think about Jiu-Jitsu probably every 5 minutes. So you can pretty much say I am psychotic with Jiu-Jitsu because that's pretty much all I think about. But yeah, that's me. So
my name is Tommy Costa. I run a gym, High Ground Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a brown belt under Baga Ramos. We're in Delmont, Pennsylvania.
My name is Emil Fisher. I'm a member of Team Strong Style Braza, an active competitor, sponsored by Pony Club Grappling Gear, and I write for Jiu-Jitsu Times. I've done a couple of articles for Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. I write quite a bit. If you look me up, you'll find quite a bit of my writing, and this is going to be an interesting series here.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I'm Stefanis Kokis. I used to train with Mike. He's a big reason why I stuck with Jiu-Jitsu. I haven't been able to train regularly, but Tommy's my new coach, and hopefully I'll get back on the mat soon. But for now, I run the podcast. So tonight's topic is children and teenagers entering the adult divisions in competitions. Recently, a video of ours went viral with Nicky Ryan, the little brother of Gordon Ryan, who is the student of Gary Tonin. He came to a tournament here with his brother. So Gordon and Nicky came here for a tournament, and when the absolute division came around, Gordon said, "Will you let my 13-year-old brother enter? I promise that he will win." And that is exactly what happened.
If you guys are interested in seeing the video, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch the matches.
I will put a link to that in the video. It's always debated in every comment section I ever look at where the video is shared. People are saying, like, this kid shouldn't be doing this. This kid shouldn't be in the adult division. If the kid lost, there'd be lawsuits, there'd be fights, there'd be all this stuff like that. So I figure, we could take both sides of this argument. So what do you guys think are... We can take this, two good ways, because we have a couple kids that enter the adult divisions. They do pretty well. Nicky, of course, and then Autumn Gordon, who is a regional phenom who enters the teen divisions and adult women's divisions. And who is the other kid you brought up, Emil, that is on the other side of this?
Gabriel Deniz, I believe is his last name.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who is he?
I think about 2 years ago, the story was circulating that he was paralyzed when he entered an adult competition. There was some situation. I forget the exact situation, but basically he got dropped on his head, and he was paralyzed.
Yeah, we've seen here he injured his third and fourth vertebrae, undergone 2 surgeries since to realign his spinal column. Blah 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 blah. Serious
pretty bad
condition. So it was about as bad as it gets.
you know how old he was at the time? Do we know how old he was?
15.
15.
That's rough. That's really rough. So let's start with the good part of this. What do you guys like? What do you like about the younger? Do you like anything at all about the younger people being able to, at 15, 16, in some cases 13, enter the adult divisions?
I love it. Personally, I love it because I think it shows that the effectiveness of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that it's good for young people. It can help them self-confidence, self-defense. Physically, it's got multiple. I think at that age, it shows that a younger child can defend himself against an adult. So I think that alone speaks volumes. That a young child can defend himself against a grown person. I mean, there's no better sport martial art that shows that. So that's my thought on that.
Anybody else?
Well, I had some actually experience sort of with in sports with adults being allowed to compete with kids. Playing hockey growing up, there was a deck hockey rink nearby, and in the summer roller hockey leagues, you could get kids that were like about the age of 16 were able to enter in the adult league, and hockey's a physical game. There is a fighting element to hockey that's even still present in like roller hockey and a local rink. People fight, people shove each other, it gets heated, and there was situations growing up where there was like fights between grown men and 16, 17-year-old kids, and things were like kind of got a little bit hairy. No one ever got in trouble, but it was bad. They had to put an end to it. Let's put it that way. Things were not going in the right direction, and so I kind of have a little bit of experience with it, and I think it's a bad idea.
What about you, Neil?
I have mixed feelings on the subject. When I first started dabbling in jiu-jitsu, I was a kid. I was 14 years old, and I was rolling with grown men. Some of them were early cage fighters, guys that were starting to get into MMA back when it was first starting to become a thing, and it was definitely a good experience for me. Kids like Nikki Ryan or like Autumn, they're going to be great in the adult division. They're going to be able to handle adults, but it really depends on the kid. There's going to be some kids who are going to be more physically advanced and are going to have more maturity. I think it depends on the kid. I think that their parents, their coach, and the tournament need to come to some sort of an agreement. I think there needs to be some sort of screening process in place. I don't think that a 13-year-old kid should be able to show up at a tournament and say, I'm going to go ahead and compete against these adults, and then put themselves at risk. They might not have the understanding of bad situations. They might be too inexperienced to understand when to tap and incur major injuries. There's the question of legality about it. Can a kid consent? Can their parents consent for them? Can their coach consent for them? Which I think is going to be an inherent issue when it comes to a sport that has potential repercussions on your whole life, like as we saw with Gabriel Diniz. So I really think it needs to be taken on a case-by-case basis.
Well, when a parent puts their kids in martial arts, I don't think they're putting them there to defend against little kids. They're putting them to defend themselves, like, from physical harm. And I think a video like Nicky Ryan shows that a child, if he's taught the correct martial art, the right martial art, can defend himself against an adult. I think isn't that why parents put their young kids in martial arts to be able to defend themselves? Isn't that one of the main reasons why they do it?
Yeah, but I think myself on the other side of the equation, and I wouldn't want to be the person who had to fight the kid. Honestly, I wouldn't go to a tournament and pay to show up and find out that there was a kid in my division. Obviously, it would take a case-by-case basis. You could get a 17-year-old kid that's physically developed and looks like, he could be 23.
Steve Mowry, shout-outs to him.
Yeah. But I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that. And I was actually at that. We were all there. We were there, saw Nicky Ryan.
Kumite Classic.
And close out the division with his brother. And some of my training partners were in that division. They had never ended up meeting him, but I'm glad they didn't. One of my students that was in that division was he has two boys. One of them is the same age as Nicky Ryan, so it was kind of weird. I don't think he would have wanted to compete.
I think that in Nicky Ryan's case, as in Autumn Gordon's case, which I think is a great example, these kids are phenoms. These kids are on a different level than most children. And as a result, they can enter that division and they can do well. I had an opportunity to roll with a kid. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Jacob Kasama, I think is his last name. He just won Kids Worlds. He's 14, maybe weighs 125 pounds. This kid was sweeping me and doing all sorts of stuff to me that guys my size have a very hard time doing. That said, I would not want to compete against him because I'd be worried about the potential repercussions of hurting him. If push comes to shove, I have a submission and the kid doesn't want to tap and I wind up breaking something, that's on me. As much as it's on his parents for signing the waiver.
See, I think a lot of adults, I think it's an ego too, though. Nobody wants to be seen losing to a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old. I think adults, it's also an ego problem. Nobody wants to be on YouTube getting tapped out by a 13-year-old. It is extremely demoralizing if you're 25, 30 years old and some 13-year-old walks in, baby-faced 13-year-old walks in, and heel hooks you. I think a lot of ego comes into play too. Let's face it, that's how grown people are. They don't want to be seen losing to 13-year-old. Let's be honest about it. No one wants to be seen losing to. And I think it just. But the point is, I'm trying to make that this is the only sport that effectively shows that a young child, a 13-year-old can defend himself against an adult. Karate, you couldn't do that in a karate tournament. You couldn't do that in the other kind of sport. Jiu-Jitsu is the only sport that shows effectively that a younger child can defend himself against an adult. So I'm all for it. As long as the parents consent to it and the coaches agree that they can do it, I have no problem with a 13-year-old going in there and putting it on the line. So, especially if he's going all day against adults in the gym and smashing them. I mean, why not do it in a tournament? Why not showcase that in a tournament? So and showcase the effectiveness of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a younger person against an adult.
So then why not have?
I think ego is the problem. I think a lot of people that are commenting against it, it's just ego. Yeah, they won't go get to 13-year-old because they don't want to be seen getting tapped by a 13-year-old. So that's what I think.
So then why not have mixed gender brackets? What's the difference?
It seems like up until teenagers you do.
In the absolute division, they should let females in. Why not? Why not ADCC? Why not why not let some of the big girls go in there and compete against the men? Why not? It's an absolute tournament. I think up until then they should be separated just for certain reasons. But in the absolute, if a girl wants to enter it, hey. And I've seen a couple local tournaments where females have been allowed in absolute tournaments. So
yeah, there's a female. I think she's an MMA fighter as well. Her last name's Zomchik. I can't remember her first name.
Jessica Zomchik.
That's the name. Yeah, she's I've seen her probably compete against more males than females at tournaments. Honestly.
It's an absolute tournament. Why not allow it? Why not? It's you signed the waiver. This is what you want to do. Go do it.
Well, Emil brought up a good point earlier about kids not being mature, or having enough experience to know when to tap, and understanding their body's limits. This is a huge challenge for me. One of the largest challenges for me as a coach teaching children. We have about 30 kids at our school, ranging from ages 6 to 15 or 16. So teaching these kids how to understand their body and what it's telling them, and understand its limits, and keep their ego in check. Is a constant challenge. I was rolling with one of my students today, and I was, she was like 14 or 15. I had an arm bar on her, and she did not want to tap, and I just, I tapped for her, let's say, and she was like, she sat up and she's like, I didn't tap. I was like, I had to have a talk with her about putting herself in that kind of danger to begin with, and trying to get her to understand why I had to stop before she got hurt. So. It's a definite challenge, and she's a competitor. She's done a lot of tournaments, so she puts herself in that situation where she'll put it on the line. So,
how old is she? How old is she, Tommy?
She actually turned 16 today.
Now, what as you as your coach, would you allow her to step into an adult tournament?
She actually has before. She's tapped blue belts, female blue belts in tournaments. So, Carlito Thomas, shout out, by the way. He's listening. She's probably not.
As you as a coach, though, this is something you see and you allow it, though. This is, if you saw this person getting smashed week in and week out, you'd probably be against her going to the tournament, correct?
Right.
So that's why I think coaches' opinions, not only to the parents, but I think the coaches' opinions of the parents need to be together on this and be like, okay, I agree, your child. I think everyone should be on the same page with it.
Yeah.
I don't think a child should just walk into a tournament and be like, hey, my dad picked me up for the weekend to a local grappling tournament. He just signed me up. He doesn't even do not something that the parents are involved in with their martial art life. The coach is involved in it. And, they're on the same page. I think then it's okay. It's I see nothing wrong with it. Personally, I see nothing wrong with it. So
I've got a bit of an issue with that, and I'll tell you why. We all have the good fortune of either being at gyms or running gyms that, we have a good enough understanding of jiu-jitsu and of grappling. I've run into and seen gym owners and schools, particularly in more rural areas, that call themselves MMA gyms, that I wouldn't necessarily say that the level of instruction and the level of coaching is where it needs to be to assess and ascertain the competence of a child. You look at, I don't want to name any names, but the point is there are gyms and there are gym owners that shouldn't be putting people in competition because it's just putting them in harm's way. The type of gyms where the guys wear tap out shirts, let's put it that way.
Or the gym where a recent low level belt just opened up a gym and is just doing his own thing.
That's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just saying that I think the competency of the instructor should be there too. There should be legit instructor should be giving the stamp that this 14-year-old, it's okay for this 13-year-old to agree because I have a legit background. Not just someone that just started teaching, a couple months ago. That comes into play too.
So the point that I'm making is that I think that even if there's agreement between the coach and the parent, it may in some cases still yield risk and unnecessary risk to the kid's health and well-being.
Right.
So
I still look at jiu-jitsu as an extremely safe sport. I mean, I've been to countless tournaments and I have yet to see really bad injuries. You've
inflicted really bad injuries.
Heel hooks and slicers and stuff.
Come on, Mike.
But
So-
hey, but this is also that these are risks that people know. These are risks that I'm sure a 14-year-old they're talking to. Hey, if you're caught in this, tap out. There's just.
Okay, so let's.
I've yet to really see really bad injuries. They're very far in between compared to other sports. So.
Nicolini, Rusumaro Pajares. Those are anomalies.
You can probably count those on your fingers. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Compared to other sports out there, there's 13-year-olds running outside playing pickup football against
In the street, yeah.
adults, and then they blow out their ACL. There's way worse injuries.
Yeah, you gotta wait till you get the blue belt to lose your ACL.
Jiu-jitsu, especially sport jiu-jitsu, is extremely safe. I believe it's extremely safe, and it's
It is, and it's very slow paced. But let's.
You're not a quarterback running back, and someone's going to blindside you and take you out. This is a whole. You see what's happening. You're gripping the guy. It's in front of you. You can, if you want to, as long as your ego is in check, you can prevent a lot of your own injuries.
So I didn't think about this before, and I should have, because none of us are child psychologists or teachers or developmental specialists. So you have to think about the emotional and mental direction the kids are coming from too, and that's kind of hard for us to relate to as adults. But like Tommy said, like kids don't know when to tap, they don't know why to tap in some cases, or they don't think. Sometimes they think they're giant killers. Sometimes they're just like, oh, I'm just having fun rolling with the grown-ups and stuff like that. So like something like this, like how I want to bring it up. I'm not throwing any shade at Gordon Ryan, but like he knows he's good, and he'll talk that shit to people, So like, could this possibly, as an ego boost, but also as like something that the kids could possibly have a psychological problem, like a superiority problem growing up? Like, could this jiu-jitsu is taught to like check your ego, not be a bully and stuff like that, but could it possibly lead to someone being a bully if they're in competitions defeating adults?
I don't know. I just look at it as a just competitive part from a sport. That's the way I look at it. It's just, I think it's just your competitive drive, you know. And I think that people that look at competitive drive, some people look at competitive drive as being as bullying. Sometimes I think that's the, I don't know. I just think some people misinterpret competitive, you know, that drive to compete to win sometimes as bullying.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's weird, you know, like we could talk about the physical aspect, we can talk about the legal stuff like that, but, you know, a kid is still turning into an adult at some point, and it's like, how does something like this affect them? How do, like, kids can take losses against other kids, and kids can take wins against other kids, but, like, kids are always taught respect your elders and listen to what they say, but if they're beating up the elders, you know.
Yeah, tell that to Emil.
Many very high-level competitors today were very high-level kid competitors back when they first got started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at, I think the Mendez brothers were fairly young when they started. I'm pretty sure Kai Otero was a child when he started. I mean, a lot of really good guys started as really good kids, and I'm sure that they kicked plenty of adult butt when they were climbing that ladder.
And Emil, the reason I think it's an issue now is because of social media, because of how easy it is to upload the Nicky Ryan video up and put it. I think back then, you know, when Kaio and the Mendez brothers, it wasn't the social media wave hasn't been out there. Or I'm sure they have videos of them destroying adults at 13, 14. It's just that now
those videos are recorded with potatoes, though. So you know.
Yeah, yeah. Where the guy would move, and then a second later he'd move again, and then 2 minutes later move again, and then his hand would be up for the win. So.
Well, we have to remember as well that you know, there's crazy people out there that are trying to get jiu-jitsu and submission grappling tournaments shut down for children altogether, and I think that to add to the legitimacy of our sport, we need to adopt some of those institutional rules that you know, U.S. Judo has, USA Wrestling has. We're not having 16-year-olds compete against adults, and it's just not, you know, it's not. There's a division there. You're a high school wrestler, you're a college wrestler. You know, there's in judo tournaments, they're not, and those are world sports, like jiu-jitsu is as well, but they're in the Olympics. I think that, you know, that's something that needs to come to play, and if we give ammunition to these crazy people trying to like shut the party down altogether for these kids, you know, it's just going to make their fire burn larger.
But also, isn't that the cool part of jiu-jitsu, that it's still underground, and you could still see a 13-year-old go against a grown person. You could still see crazy matchups. You could still see a girl in the absolute. That I like the way jiu-jitsu is. I don't want you. Yes, I want jiu-jitsu to get big, but I still want it to be almost a little like speakeasy still.
Keep jiu-jitsu weird.
I still want to keep jiu-jitsu weird, yes, because I'm weird. So I want to keep it weird. I still want to see weird matchups. I want to still see a 130-pound person go against a 350-pound monster and somehow use technique to beat him. I just want to still see that weirdness. So the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu. So, but then I'm weird. So
you gotta start your own jiu-jitsu freak show. Travel the countryside.
Yeah, our first event's going to be in a warehouse somewhere in downtown Pittsburgh. All right, so we talked about the good parts of it. Did we really go into like the bad parts, possibly?
I think Emil and Tommy both hit on the bad parts. That you know, Tommy was adamant. Yes, and there are people that don't want to go against someone that could be their child. You know.
Yeah.
And Emil's, from the legal standpoint. So I see those views too. But me, I'm just like, yeah, my child is 5 years old. I hope by the time he's 10, he's ready to go against adults, because I'll put his ass in there. Let's do it. I'll be there with a video camera, and whether you lose or win, I got your back regardless. So
you heard it here first.
Look out for little Mijas.
I'm pretty sure my wife isn't listening to this either, so I'm cool.
I think there's some potential issues as far as physical development. I know that when I was 14, 15 years old, I was approximately the same height as I am now. Looked much older than I was. And at that time, I wasn't as physically strong as I am now. I just didn't have the testosterone. I wasn't a man. I was still a boy. And I think that in those weird, awkward years between, 12 and 20, or 18 or whatever, you're going to see a pretty vast disparity between how strong a kid might look and how strong they actually are. They might be a lot stronger than they look or look a lot stronger than they are. And I think that can be a potential issue. I think that physiology, again, I know Stefanos was saying none of us are a child psychologist, none of us is a physiologist, but I'm sure that there are going to be inherent drawbacks. Again, stemming back to what I was talking about before, can we put women against men? That's not generally done on a high level. You can't, because there's a division of the genders kind of for a reason. It's different. They're different bodies completely. So I think that can be problematic.
I see what you're saying with that. But you want to know what video would really blow the internet? If we have Nikki Ryder go against Autumn Gordon. Think about that.
And that could actually happen.
A female, male,
Team
up and coming underage superstars go at each other. Imagine that video. Just imagine the hate comments. I can already see Tommy laughing. The hate comments would be.
Mike said that matchup. Gordon Ryan's coming back in a few weeks. Set that up.
It would just the hate comments alone. It would just be. And these are two people. I think that they would do it. I don't think they would. They would. I think in a heartbeat they'd be like, okay, set it up. Where's this at? So because they're competitors, and I think that's how. I think people are mistaking. Yeah, there's competitors at all ages, and there's just two competitors, and for some reason that competitor's at this age right now. It's just I think competitors is something that's in you, So I don't know, but yeah, if that video ever happens, that the comments alone would be worth just sitting there all day just scrolling through the hate comments. It'd be awesome. So.
I think that there's a lot of tournaments that allow teen boys to compete against teen girls. It's very common.
Yeah, very, very common.
Have you guys ever seen Amanda, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Leve, I think? Amanda, Leve.
I've seen her name.
I don't know, but I've seen a couple of videos. I know who you're talking about.
She's the girl that, there was a pretty well-known video of her going against a pretty muscular boy and taking his back and choking him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
But that's also the ego thing. That's where you get the comments of if I paid $80 for a tournament, I'm not going against a girl. I'm backing out. I think you're backing out because your ego is backing you out.
It's a lose-lose situation for you. You either lose to a girl, the guy that beat up a girl.
She signed up for the tournament. Go out there and smash her if you can. If you can, go out there and smash her if you can. It's a jiu-jitsu. You went there to win, right? You signed up because most likely you signed up for a tournament. It's because you probably want to win the tournament, especially if you spend a certain amount of money. So go out there and do what you're going to do originally. Go out there and beat her if you can.
Is that a win you'd be proud of, Mike?
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, I'll be proud of any win. Anytime I'm lucky enough to get a win, I'll smash a 2-year-old. If I can get a win, I'll make that my Facebook profile too.
Oh my God.
That's great.
Someone's audio just kicked
That's
up.
what I think a lot of people at tournaments, I think a lot of ego comes into play when it comes to tournaments. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Look at people get to tournaments. They'll cut all this weight, and then they'll enter the absolute. That why did you cut all that weight? You just went at your regular weight if you're down to do the absolute. So it's like that. I think it's a lot of ego when it comes to the competing, and then people from the outside, their ego gets involved too. Just like when they see young people competing, and there's just a lot of ego when it comes to competing. That's all. It's a lot of non-competitive people with competitive people at a lot of tournaments, and it gets ugly sometimes. So, and then you see the comments later. I would have won the division if heel hooks were allowed. My opponent had 5 stripes on his white belt. My opponent just came from Brazil. There's just a lot of ego.
The ref was Brazilian.
Yeah, the ref was Brazilian. They trained at the same academy. He knew his mom. there's just so much ego in jiu-jitsu, so much underlying ego in jiu-jitsu, and that's where a lot of the stuff about, people are mad that a 13-year-old is beating adults. That's where a lot of this comes from. There's just a lot
That's
of
I think that's a future discussion. Excuses in its own.
yeah, a lot of excuses.
I got a million.
A lot of excuses.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm gonna go through the comments. A couple comments on the videos.
Why is his head so shiny?
Yeah, one of them.
Because the sun's breaking.
Someone said he's getting more advanced training than most kids his age. I mean, granted, Nikki Ryan's case, he is getting that, and Amanda Gordon, or Autumn Gordon, it's my fault, sorry. Autumn Gordon gets to travel a lot. Her parents fully endorse her training as much as she can, everywhere she can. So, what do you think about, if these kids are too, how should I put this? Do you push a kid if you know that they can do better? Like, do you push them to the point where they're too good for the kids' class? Tommy, you're a coach. You can probably answer this better.
Well, I kind of make the judgment call, but depending on their physical development, I'll move them up to the adult class by the time they're 13 years old, usually. But they're not thrown into the mix, and just left to deal like an adult is. Their training partners are hand selected. Their sparring partners are hand selected. I give them a lot of different type of attention than I do to my adults. So they're just learning the same curriculum.
Actually, Emil, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Pablo son Pito. Is that how you say his?
Yes, Pito.
How old is he?
11, 12.
How long has he been training?
I think since he was in the womb.
Pretty much, right? Since in the womb, pretty much, right? That's not a joke. Pretty much, I'm sure Pablo was talking to the womb to him about grappling and jiu-jitsu. Pretty much. So, does he roll with it? Does he roll at all with the adults?
He's tiny. I've seen him roll occasionally, but it was really more just like playing around. As soon as he hits his first growth spurt, I'm really scared of what's going to happen to all of us.
So there's a kid that you could see 13 at the age of 13, maybe entering adult, right? And be able to hold his own, correct?
Did he freeze? Emil, you there?
Yeah, look.
I think he froze.
It's like the question just took him like this. He can't even answer it. He's like, is Pablo listening? Do I answer this or no? He's like,
let's try to get him back.
I'll just turn off Skype, act like I didn't hear what you said.
No, we're trying to get him back. His internet might have died.
You see what my point is? Now here's a young kid that's training, and that by the time they're 13, they're ready to go with adults because they've been training since the womb.
Yeah, but I guess, I don't know. Training with Gary Tonin is kind of a one-off thing,
I do have mixed feelings on it. I mean, I've reffed matches with kids grappling adults. Some of my students have competed against adults. So, but I don't know. Fundamentally, I'm still against it. And let's put it this way: if I was the guy running the tournament and it was my call, I would let my people know that there's not going to be any children fighting adults. So it kind of depends on what hat I'm wearing.
That's
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to get Emil back in. It's not working out. So I think we went through a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Dude, let me do a jiu-jitsu public service announcement. Well, I was making the around this time every year.
Yeah.
We're entering, cold and flu season here, which means your immune system is going to be compromised. And it makes this time of year that much more important to take care of yourself. Jiu-jitsu gear has to be clean. Clean your gear. Keep it clean. Come to the gym clean. Trim your nails. All that good stuff.
So your gi's not supposed to smell like cat piss is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Good. See, now that you said that, there should be like a little star going on your head. That more you know star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not that advanced yet.
You got to shower. You got about a half hour after you stop sweating to get a shower. So
shower, breath mints, deodorant,
Clip your nails.
nails.
You know, even if you've been sitting at a desk, let's put it this way: if you've been sitting at a desk all day, you need to at least dip. You need to at least take a little bit of a shower, a half shower, or something.
Yeah,
In the sink.
the Famunda shower.
Yeah, you needed to get a little something going on. If you've been sitting at a desk all day or working on a roof, or you definitely need to clean yourself up. So,
Especially if you're doing steering wheel passes.
yeah.
Well,
So it's important, guys. Take care of your
I think
gear.
that question got Emil so bad, it just jarred him. You know, the way I just came at him with that question that he can't fucking handle it. So.
He broke Skype.
He-
Skype.
Looks like BJJ won the first match against
oh my
Jiu-Jitsu.
god.
EKO.
He came with the heat.
So I'm trying to get him back. I think his internet died. But we're gonna wrap up. I think it was a good show. It's shorter than our usual shows. We'll be back. We should be back next week with a regular show. Maybe on Thursday. I'm not sure if everyone's on board with Thursday yet, but we're gonna try. And we also are gonna be starting some new projects. We're gonna launch a big project soon. Probably like a legit news show, sort of, to summarize weeks in jiu-jitsu to go with the podcast and such. And then the next BJJR Jiu-Jitsu Times Verbal Grappling podcast will most likely be on opening a gym when, most people don't think you should. So at what age or time period in your training are you good enough to open a gym, I guess that's what you can say. So with that, everybody, you guys got shout outs? Anyone you want to say hi to?
Shout out to my team at High Ground Jiu-Jitsu and everybody that knows me. What's up, guys?
Yeah. Mike?
Shout out to the whole world.
Whole world?
I'm going world on this one.
Yeah, whole world. What's up, Josh Mancuso? And I'll throw Emil stuff out there. He writes you can find his stuff at Jiu-Jitsu Times. You can like his page, just Emil Fisher on Facebook, or just add him on Facebook. He trains at Strong Style under Pablo Castro, and he's sponsored by Ponyboy Grappling Club. So check his stuff out. He's got a lot of articles up, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night. Have a good week.
Deuces.